just started a little fire here this morning. 50 degrees here in camp. I woke up. Got some water boiling, or getting ready to boil, and make some coffee. Some of my canned eggs. And out I go to plant some trees. I was out planting dogwood, and look what dropped in. I wonder if it's the same one that nested here 2 years ago. Not last summer, but the summer before, spring before. I walked right past them, nodded my head at them, and they stayed. That could be. This section here that I have fenced is a rice pit, or a couple of rice pits. And last year I made it. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Something grabbed the crab and ate it here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Blue pincher. Oh, a second one. Huh. Raccoon, I bet. So I was talking about these couple of rice pits that I built. And something interesting to note. This rice pit right here that's surrounded with wire fencing, that one I put aged cow manure into. And it has a lot of green algae growing. This one over here I didn't put any aged manure in it. All I did was I collected some muck from an area where the water is kind of a low area, so it's mucky, and I put the muck there and then planted the seeds. And then I've got a walkway in the center. Now these seeds were planted by making clay balls and putting the seed inside the clay ball, and then I planted the clay balls. So we're going to find out if they grow, or how well they grow if they do. There's rice planted all the way up that trough and all the way up and down that trough. And the two pits, these are a little deeper areas, because if we have really dry season, then I'm assuming that's going to be a wetter area because it's deeper. Just little small variables. Little peeper frogs have been busy. I haven't heard any northern green frogs, so it can't be them yet. So there's a swale and a mound that I planted up in 2013, and next to nothing that I planted on it is alive. What is alive is just barely making it. That's a mound made out of the clay, which is subsoil right up to the surface, and nothing's happening. We're going to turn around here, and I built a hugel culture here, and the trees are just marvelous. Ooh, look at the fresh deer tracks here. That looks like last night. I've got some red mulberry growing in here. Antonovka rootstock for apples. This is a hazelnut. I planted a whole bunch of hazelnuts on this mound, nothing. This is the only one. Gotta think of some more here. We got an aronia. What an amazing aronia plant that is. It had berries 2 years in a row, but nothing spectacular yet. Then there's crab apple and American plum and Antonovka and a pear. That's a pear. I think there's another crab apple there and another crab apple over here. And we have some American hazelnuts that are growing here. There's some more in here too, but these cages were knocked off their spots. So I don't know, we'll have to wait until, oh, there, yeah, I see this one. down here. I planted like 15 of them along here, and 3 of them are growing. Yeah, I think that's a crab apple here too, with all the stems coming out of it. I'm going to have to get in there and loosen up that tube. Oh, here's another American hazelnut. That's a locust tree. Oh, look at that hawk. Pleated woodpecker. Lots of action. That might be a hazelnut too. We'll have to look and see what the leaves are. But the point is, the hugelkultur, everything's great. Oh, here's a tree here that's coming up that I didn't tube right here. Looks like another apple. I also planted nut tree, I think. What was it? Can't think. I'll have to look them up. There's a nut tree in here too that I planted. And I don't see any of those growing, none of them. I planted 25 in along here. This is the hugelkultur. I mean, this is the and this is the swale mound. You can see the swale still got water in it from the winter melt. I planted a plum rootstock right here, and it's growing. The deer love it. That might be something that I planted all those years ago. It's got little red buds on it. Here's one right here. That's a little red mulberry. This is a locust. You see how big that locust was over there? The butt is probably 6 inches. You get these little bitty things here. I'm sure this is something I planted. Looks like it was, oh, I'll bet you this is a rootstock I stuck in there later. It's probably Antonovka rootstock in the graft field. But I also got some from a guy named Little John, so maybe it might have been one of his grafts. All the stuff that looked weak I brought up here. We'll monitor. If they get a little bit taller, then they're worth caging. Obviously they're tough. Handling all the deer. There's another one. I don't know what this is, but oh, I bet you it's a pear rootstock too. You can see it's growing right out of here. Those I planted later. I've had bird's foot trefoil growing on here, and it's kind of loosening things up, I think. You can see it's just coming up now. That's bird's foot. Oh, right there. There's a nice little batch of them. They grow very deep roots, and they fix nitrogen. And the deer don't seem to kill them. I've seen deer kind of pick at it, but they don't just stand there and eat it. Oh, that's got a green leaf coming out. It's warmer in the tube. There's a whole bunch of bird's foot right here coming. There's some bugs growing in this tube. Let's see if I can get a picture of this here. I've seen those last time I was here too. I want to kind of see their springtail, but I'm not sure. Snow fleas, maybe? I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know. And this is a little area here that I've been growing up with. I've actually planted bird's foot in there, and then it started growing up with canary grass and goldenrod. And last year I cut it 1st of August, and it ended up being a pretty decent food source for the deer. They were in here. This was green in October. And they were all small plants, and the deer were really browsing them in. The only thing that was still green. Oh, look at. Here's. I better make sure I mark this, because this is a Turkish hazelnut that's growing. That's supposed to be dead. I looked at it last year and it was dead. So I come in here and cut this stuff in August. I better mark that somehow. I know, I'll put this somewhere on top of it, right next to it. There. I should remember it. Huh. Cool. So I'll do the same thing this year, assuming I'm not dead of the virus or some mandatory vaccine or some other bullshit. I'll come in here early August and I'll cut this again. There's another one up above there. I was actually planted other things in it and caged it, but I'm not going to cage it this year because this turned out so well to be a food source for the deer. So you can see where it's green coming up really quick. So I cut it all the way to here, and then that was the line. That's right. I didn't cut this to see the differences, and nothing was interested in this. It was all dead and dying. You know, it did its thing. It made its seeds, and then that was it. Well, I stopped the process of seed making right before the goldenrod started to produce seed, and I think the canary grass, same thing. I don't remember the canary grass, but goldenrod for sure. They're starting to blossom, and that's when I cut it. And all these goldenrod plants wanted to grow seeds, so they all stayed alive. And the deer started eating them. And because the deer were browsing them, now they couldn't blossom. And it was until the deer, they all just kind of disappeared. So it'll be interesting to see how many goldenrods come up this year, because I cut it last year. But there was seed in this batch. So if we had a north wind, the seed would have blown. Well, there's goldenrod all over the place, so there's got to be seed all over the place in here. But we'll find out. It'll be interesting. I don't know what kind of bird is that. That's nice. Alright, watch this cedar tree. Actually, there's two of them. Look at. One twists around the other. Look at that. Right there is the cross. From this side, anyway. So here's the base of that love tree, hugging each other. See right there. Kind of flattens out. Look at that. That's kind of interesting. It curls right around. Up it goes. Huh. I didn't plant that here. That is probably a white pine seedling. Hey, we'll take it. Next to this old tube. Looks like it's got a broken. I'll put it next to another one. You can see the bear chewed that up. It's all teeth marks from bears. I had a couple of hundred of these around, and they all disappeared except for a few of them that were all chewed up like this. Probably use that something up north, up by the camp. But here's a Korean nut pine right here. Growing pretty good. think we'll give it a little help with the stick. Probably laying down because of the snow. Here. Give it some head. Good. Alright, this is the water cam. I put a piece of birch bark over the top because this one likes to fog up in the rain. And then I draped some bark over the side so it doesn't look like there's just a box there all by itself. And right here is the pathway that it's monitoring. We'll see what comes through. They ran away or not? No, there's one running. The other one's still sitting there. I'm gonna run across the road. I don't know if you got that or not. You think there's deer in the UP? Think again. There's lots of deer in the UP. Look at that. Here they go. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the ramp field. Lots of ramps around here. I picked a few. Deer bones. I wonder if there's a rack over there. It's too wet.